Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for That Shelf, and we're here to look at this completely ridiculous book, a book about Lego Star Wars, The Force of Creativity. So this is the Force of Creativity book, a fancy book that Lego was selling, available exclusively on their website, a very limited edition, and we'll see how actually limited it is. Super annoyingly unavailable in Canada. I actually had to get this from the States. Now, somebody who's collected Star Wars Lego from the very beginning, on the first day they had it. This was something that I thought would be great to celebrate the first quarter century of the of the building building of the galaxy, as it were, as they say. The fact of the matter is that this was I was a huge Lego fan as a kid. It was such a big deal. It really opened my mind in ways. I mean, dreams of being an architect were absolutely fueled at one point in time. Definitely in high school, that was certainly a direction that I've been leaning towards until a bunch of architects told me, don't bother. Um, it's another story. But nonetheless, the whole notion of building with Lego was so fundamental to me. Um, and as an adult, a lot of people, there's now a lot of adult fans of Lego. There's obviously stuff that's built for nobody's spending as much money as a child on this stuff. This is definitely adult themed, like many of the sets are. But it's a fundamental thing. I'm somebody that does quote unquote creative things on a regular basis. I'm either writing or, doing stuff on computers, designing and doing whatever it is that I'm doing. But there's very little that actually have this fully tangible. It's one of the things that I love as a writer of actually being published in newspapers and magazines, the tactile nature of it. But even then, I mean, I'm having to basically stare at a blank page or whatever and actually be incredibly creative just from that. Now, obviously, Lego can be done that way, but one of the great things about Lego, for me, are incredibly therapeutic, cathartic things, is that I can sit there with instructions. My life doesn't come with instructions. My work doesn't come with instructions. I don't have an easy way to do things. Complain, complain. But it's true. And so Lego, for me, to have a beginning, a middle, and end, to have that sort of arc of what we're doing, is that I have a set that I can be there and I can actually hold, and I can spend the tactile nature of it is incredibly beneficial for me in just navigating the rest of my crazy life. So that's my love of Lego. And then you had, obviously, since I'm born in '72, so Star Wars at 5. It really also became very fundamental to who I was. So much of what I love about movies is directly related to that. And it's funny because now, after all this time, after all, this is literally merchandising after all this stuff, we've lost so much sight of what these films really did represent in the best of ways. It truly did open my mind or open my imagination. But it was also my people go to museums and they're wowed by art or whatever. Really, it was the designs of things like the Millennium Falcon, the Star Destroyer. This is what made me understand that people made this stuff. I got to know people, names like Ralph McQuarrie, Colin Cantwell, but people like Lauren Pearson, the model builders, people like Joe Johnson, who would go on to direct a whole bunch of films that people tend to really like. But his designs for things like the X-wing, these incredible artists that brought Lucas and his collaborators' visions to life. That was a really big deal. So when you're a kid and you have X number of parts, and you certainly had fewer parts than you really wanted, Lego Space was obviously a big deal. But the dream of having Star Wars sets, like actual official Star Wars sets, was always there. And so, in the late '90s, in and around when the post special editions and just in timing with the release of Phantom Menace, this is when Star Wars and Lego finally bonded, as it were. And we've had 25 years of going from relatively simple sets to incredibly complex ones with many new parts and many new options. Obviously, many people love minifigs and all that stuff. But from those original, the X-Wing, the TIE Fighter, the sort of small sets, which we'll look at in a sec, they'll definitely be in here. It was the two UCS sets. It was the giant X-Wing and the advanced TIE Fighter that came out. And this was the first time I had bought Technic stuff. I'd been in Europe, and I actually bought some stuff when I lived in Europe. It's totally preposterous, but I actually schlepped stuff home from when I was living in Europe. Took the box apart. It's a whole thing. But it had stuff like there was this incredible Technic set that's this dinosaur. or a helicopter with this like battery controlled stuff. I was finally seeing at the time in my 20s that this building, these blocks that I had like children's blocks, could be something much more. And then when you had the UCS set, and I'll never forget, it was actually building the TIE Interceptor, and they used it's called NPU now, nice part usage, but back then it was there's these two little side elements on the wings. I almost call them nacelles. That's Trek, but on the wings, they're shovels. I just remember thinking, that's crazy. Of course, you just have all this stuff around. You know, you see antennas used in different ways and stuff like that, but it was the shovels of all things. And since that time, since in the last quarter century, I have purchased. At one point in time, I had every Star Wars set. At one point in time, I've sold a bunch since last few years, and I certainly sort of reduced the number. I'm certainly being more selective about what I'm getting. I have lots for sale. If you want to go to my Bricklink, that's another story. Leave a comment below. But this is this jump into these kind of sets opened up in a dramatic way my interest in Lego, and I went from buying those initial sets, all the initial sets, to having a quite considerable Lego collection now of a wide variety of elements, all coming because of this. And because of that, maybe nostalgically, maybe whatever, I wanted to have something to add to my shelf. This is, after all, that shelf. And so that's what we did. So we looked at this book. So here we have big, heavy, nice bound book to celebrate the first quarter century of the incredible partnership between two iconic powerhouses, Lego and Star Wars. And so that gives a little bit of indication about why, for me, it's not simply a matter of this is merchandise. Rightly or wrongly, this really does connect on a deeper level, which, is what merchandise is supposed to do at best. But in the same way, somebody will have like a Mickey Mantle baseball card. It's just a piece of cardboard with a person's face on it. But if you're a sports fan, it's really going to mean a lot to you. A lot of these Lego sets truly have not only an aesthetic draw and the catharsis of actually building it, but also has very deep emotional connections to me in ways that if you don't get it, you don't get it. It's fine. But I have it, and I thought I would at least articulate it. So as I'm carefully opening this up, this is going to be one of those things that I bet this back cover thing comes off, and I'm going to try to keep it like a silly person. No, it might actually be stuck on, which makes... Oh, no, it's not. I lied. I was right the first time. So there we are. So this is the sort of sell sheet for it, which I'm going to try to keep pristine. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But in fairness, the actual back is the UCS ATA. Again, a set that, I have in a room upstairs. And this was, when they started doing this, it would be like, oh my God, if they can actually find a way to do this. Well, they found a way to do this. On the front, you have the UCS Falcon. And so how does this open up? I believe this is a clamshell. It is. So I'm going to do this. Try not to destroy the mic. Sorry about this. And inside here, there you go. You have a UCS Ultimate Collector Series version of a Imperial Star Destroyer. Again, something incredibly connected to me. At Star Wars Celebration 3, I was with a group of, ended up being a bunch of Lego nerds. Rather than Star Wars nerds, I got on the Lego team. And we had to build one of the original UCS version of the Star Destroyer as a speed build. And the first time and whoever did it won a trophy. We all got this Darth Vader medallion. I have a video about this little link elsewhere. But I had this Star Wars medallion, and there was one trophy, and it's a long story, but it was one of those things that I convinced them all, like, if we're winning and we're going to win, I want the trophy. You guys can do whatever we want ahead of time, but I don't want anything until we win. But when we win, I want the trophy. I have the trophy. So over all of the Star Wars Lego stuff I have, the one thing I have which will not be in this book, I can't imagine it's in this book, is the one-off Darth Vader trophy that I got at Celebration 3. Very, very prized for me. So let's gently pull in the book. Already, it's already open. I'm already getting some fingerprints on it, but nonetheless, it's really nice embossed here with the Star Wars. I'm such an idiot. I hear him boss, and I think Boskin, Boss Nass, but whatever, that's where we're at. Um, we have a little ribbon to pull the book out, which I'm going to do carefully. There's actually two elements here, so we're going to look at this. So inside, right, so we have this, and then we have the pattern, the sort of greebling, as it were, to borrow an ILM word. And yeah, lots of figures inside there. And then we have the book itself. There's with the, I guess that's the latest version of R2, right? Also UCS, but I have a number of them. And then we have this time capsule, and I'll open up that time capsule later. But for now, we're going to look at the book. So again, Star Destroyer. And inside the book, the wonderful sound of a book cracking open. There we go. So there's one R2. But more importantly, I talked about that first X-Wing. There's the first X-Wing. There's the 99 X-Wing. Right? So once we saw that designers were actually tasked with recreating this much better than any X-Wing I was ever able to buy. Let's try to do this without cracking the spine, shall we? And then it has stuff like this, like illustrations of, he will always be Hammerhead. I know he's Momau now on, but that is Hammerhead minifig sketch. And inside here, forward introduction, prologue, Billy D. Williams no less doing the forward, which is pretty cool. Show that off, right? And again, so a bunch of images and a bunch of stock stuff from the early days. Let's try to get it. I'm sorry about all the glare. And then in there, excellent. So that's interesting. There's Doug Chang looking at the Super Star Destroyer. So Doug Chang now back at Industrial Light and Magic, or whatever we're going to call it, Lucasfilm. I guess it's still ILM, of course it is. But doing a bunch of the designs. But he's the concept designer for a lot of the stuff in the prequels. But that's him looking at Super Star Destroyer with one of my favorite sets ever, the Shuttle Tidarium, just absolutely stunning Lego model. Different elements, and yeah, so we're going right from the beginning here, again showing some of Doug Chang's illustrations, then what the Lego stuff looked like right at the design stage, and fully telling this narrative about how this stuff was built. Yeah, Doug Chang going into right up to the mono stuff. There, you know, there's stuff from Mandalorian, and all these elements sort of being incorporated. Them telling the story of design, and yeah, then we have here Jens Krovold Fredriksson, the design director of Lego. But all of these elements coming together in the way you want, and you can see the Lego guys beside giant versions. So that's probably funny. I mean, you think, oh, that's just a Photoshop. No, if you look closer, that is them beside a life-size version of the Lego, the mini Lego set that's actually a full-on X-Wing. Absolutely stunning. And yeah, so we go right to the beginning. There's the early stuff that we talked about, but let's look at those shovels that I had mentioned as we're going. Oh, so it tells the whole story of collecting and all this stuff, the different Lego elements. Original photography for this, really beautiful. This is quite design elements, all of this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm flipping through here, looking for what we're doing. So what this is not is, and I've seen this before. There's books like this that you see it's tons of details. It's very, very much a how this stuff came to be. It is not just a list of every single product that's made. It's truly going behind the scenes on it. And I cannot wait to actually dive in. So sure, there's a bunch of sets in there, but everything is sort of spelled out about what was done in terms of the design series. Yeah, like really wild. The original Falcon there. The sort of different ways of doing Falcon designs, whether they open up or have more of the clamshell, and actually talking about all those elements. Very, very cool. Wow. So details like this, like original models and different elements being recreated in the different forms, telling all the stories. there we are. Here's a new set that was just announced, another version of the skiff. But yeah, sketches of the original Boba Fett, and then the sort of articulations, the different arms. So I'm really going to enjoy going through this. There's hundreds and hundreds of pages of different elements, the video games. Here's the UCS, right? There's an entire section on UCS here. So there's the Super Star Destroyer. There's here's the TIE Fighter. So there's the TIE Fighter. And if you look here, I'm going to have a hard time pointing at this, but right here, right on the edge here, right where my thumb is, if I get it, are those little shovels. I love that in this set. But yeah, going through the UCS, like what do I not have here? The original Tantive 4, the original version, the magnet version of the Star Destroyer, that's the one that we actually speed built on UCS. There's a couple that I don't have, which is one thing. For example, I never bought this. I never bought the Mandalorian one. I mean, they blew the ship up after a season and a half, spoiler. But I'd love to have it. I just don't have it, you know? And that's a good example of when I sort of stopped sort of getting super completist. And yeah, it talks about different innovations. Oh, this is interesting. There's the Mindstorms robotic set version of R2-D2, which I still have upstairs. So tons of stuff, different building experiences, different, let's try to do this, different elements that actually are incorporating the building experience. There's Grogu, as we now know. And again, here we are on page, what are we at? 300 and something, whatever, 232. Yeah, these giant sets. Oh, so this is interesting. So here we are. This is the Ventnor class, and there in the corner of that is Eric. And Eric is the guy that designed my Darth Vader. So they were actually building this when it was at Celebration. So he was actually putting the final touches on that ship at Celebration. Great to see. Oh, look, a George Lucas bust. So yeah, be interesting if they would have thrown a photo of my Vader in here. I don't think they would. Nonetheless, we're just super interesting things, including some fan models, different ways of doing it, different elements, as they say, Creative Galaxy. So, and then we have a full timeline of every set going from 1999, the Duel, all the way to 2018. What do we actually end up? 2024, I assume? 2023, 2024, the January to June. So that gives us the full 25 years. And who knows, maybe in another quarter century, there'll be another one if I'm around. So that's the actual book. I look forward to actually diving into it. Here's the time capsule. And the time capsule actually has elements. It opens as a sort of clamshell thing as I'm dropping elements here. Forgive me as I bend over. So one of the things that fell out when you get to construct is this guy. And this is the original version of, and it actually shows how to do it. It was an early bird at New York Toy Fair. And this set, this Vader and Luke set, you see you have all these different pieces you can put together to have sort of a cardboard version of it. You know, I'm unlikely to put this together. It's probably going to stay exactly like it is now, but it's kind of fun that they did it. You actually have the instructions for the Lego Fountain set. This was a very exclusive set, I think only handed out to people who actually worked at Lucas. I mean, it's a series of instructions for something I can't build. I don't have the parts. You have the same thing, a Ghost Fighter, right? Additional instructions, because why not? We have this, which is a book of reference elements. Nice little addition. It'll actually describe what it is on the inside. So yeah, so there's a facsimile of the Toy Fair booklet in 2010. The development art for hologram minifigures, pencil sketch, advertisement. This is the invitation. So here we have Lego Star Wars Tonight Part 1. A version of the script. Right. Reproduction of the script. There we are. I'm used to seeing this toy card. An actual postcard. And then a series of illustrations of various minifigs. Because again, so much of this stuff was actually drawn by hand and then sculpted and then do. So these are 2009. Yeah, pencil sketch for print advertisement, 1999. I'll try to get the lighting right. Vader. And then, yeah. Look at that illustration. Perfect there. Yeah, the Zem Vessel minifig. So this is how you would actually see that the artists are actually designing the different print patterns and stuff like that before actual publication. And then we have here, yeah, the unreleased Star Destroyer poster 2019. I would have liked that poster. I would have liked it a lot, given again what that means. So yeah, we have all these elements here, you know, as little tchotchkes, because why not? And yeah, all of this sort of brought together here, all in this one set. So that is our look at this crazy box set, limited edition, book version of The Force of Creativity. A exclusive Lego book that they have put together for crazy collectors like me. I've just been handling it for a few minutes and already has got fingerprints all over it. That's part of the fun. I should have gloves on. But you know what? It's worth playing. It's like Lego. You got to open it up. Maybe get a little bit dirty, but you're going to have fun while actually digging into it. I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to actually reading the thing and actually going through it. But I just wanted to take a moment to actually celebrate this book. Again, completely ridiculous. I had to bring it in from the United States. I had a friend actually bring it in, which was very generous of him. But just want to give you guys, especially some of us in Canada that didn't have a chance to actually see it. I know a lot of people are upset about the pricing of it. People think that maybe it's not designed for them. This is 100% designed for me. It's like they wrote this book for me. This is going to tell the story that I want. This is the one that I want told. I think I'm going to know about 50% of it, and the other 50% is stuff I didn't even know I wanted to know. And I'm excited to actually dive into it. Sort of like the J.W. Rinsler stuff, the making of, which are astonishing. If you haven't checked those books out, I should do an entire another video on that. But nonetheless, that's our look at the Force of Creativity set, the book from Lego. Sort of culmination of my quarter century of collecting Star Wars Lego. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about this book, what you think about the channel, what you think about me. Please like the video, subscribe, join us on social media, go to the website. That would be all great. We will see you next video. All the best. Take care.